Welcome back, everyone, to the Pride and Puck podcast. This is episode number 6, and today we've got a guest who's coming all the way from New York City, and that's Merridy Lithgow. How are you?
I'm doing well. We're doing well. Thanks for having me.
I hope I got your last name correct.
Yeah, Merridy Lithgow, you got it.
Yeah, I thought so. I forgot to ask you before the podcast started.
No, you killed it.
So what's summer like in New York City?
Yeah, it's nice actually. It's been quite hot. It's about 30 to 35 degrees. So it was nice to move here and just kind of get out of Sydney winter. So not that Sydney winter's bad, but yeah, it's nice to have some summer days.
Yeah, I had because I'm down sort of south of Melbourne, and I
Mhm.
jumped in the car. Jumped in the car the other day. I had on my dash 0 degrees, so it's definitely cold here.
Oh gosh, that's cold. Yeah,
But
don't
yeah,
envy it.
it's funny you mentioned Sydney because I've seen videos of people at Bondi Beach swimming, so it can't be too cold in Sydney.
Yeah, no, Sydney winter's actually quite nice. Yeah, we can't complain.
Um, so tell us about your move to New York because you're doing a PhD there.
Yeah, so I'm a podiatrist and I'm doing a PhD. But yeah, I'm doing the PhD through La Trobe in Melbourne. But yeah, I've just moved here for a couple of years and just doing it remotely.
And just tell us about Merridy, I suppose. What was sport like growing up and things like that?
Yeah, all right. Well, I'm originally from Adelaide, so I've lived in Sydney for the last 7 years, and then yeah, so I just moved to New York about 2 months ago. Yeah, I guess I started playing ice hockey at 27, so later in life, so about 6 years ago.
Did you know about hockey before you started playing? Or did you know that the sport was sort of around, especially in Australia?
Yeah. I've always loved ice hockey. Sort of growing up when I was younger, I played inline hockey. So I kind of had the skills in skating. It just wasn't hadn't been on ice yet. So yeah, when I was 27, I just wanted to start a new sport. So I thought, why not ice hockey? But yeah, you're right. In Australia, people sometimes look at you a bit funny when you say you play ice hockey. It's not the most common sport. But yeah, they just don't know how fun it is, I don't think. But yeah, so I kind of started by going to the ice zoos on Monday night, just like to learn to skate. And then yeah, once you learn how to stop on ice skates, that's kind of the hardest part. And then you just sort of throw yourself into it. So then from there I joined the freshman league. So that's at ISOs, which was a really fun beginner league in Sydney. And then eventually I joined the beginner league. So there's another league, which is really fun, and you get a free beer after. So yeah, you can't go wrong with that.
Well, stopping on skates has always been my problem.
Yeah, it was the hardest part. Once you get that though, I think that's once you learn how to stop, I think the rest you can learn.
Yeah, it's quite funny too because when you was talking about hockey in Australia, people just think of Australia as like sunshine 24 hours, 24/7, and beaches,
Mhm.
and yeah, they don't think about ice sports, I suppose.
Yeah, not at all. But there's quite a few Australians who do play. I've met a couple over here in New York, but yeah, it's just a sport you don't grow up playing as much.
Yeah, I noticed, and we'll get into it a little bit later, but I noticed um, as soon as you moved to New York, you pretty much got into it looked like you got into the hockey scene over there.
Yeah. So I moved 2 months ago, so kind of straight from the get-go, I just wanted to find some ice hockey. So when I first came, I joined up with the Hard Pass League. So that's run by Jade at the Ice City Ice Pavilion. And yeah, that was awesome. Really inclusive and accepting club. It's a lot of fun as well. You get unlimited drinks and snacks at the end of the game. So that sort of helps to build that community within the ice hockey. And then I also started up with the NYCGHA. That's the New York City Gay Hockey Association. Yeah, so this is great. Like this is an LGBTQI plus hockey organization. Been running for 20 years. So yeah, it's pretty cool to see an entirely queer friendly league, with 5 different teams, which anyone can play. So one day I hope sort of Sydney gets to that where we can have a entire queer league because yeah, it's pretty cool to see.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's really cool. And for 20 years, it's a long time.
Yeah, for sure.
So how did you find Harbour Lights?
Yeah, so I started. So Stuart Ridley first hit me back up in 2021. That's when the Harbour Lights first began, and yeah, I love the creation of the Harbour Lights. I'm a big supporter of like all LGBTQI sporting clubs. So yeah, it was just really special to join this. It's kind of combining my love for ice hockey, but also providing a safe space for all genders and sexualities. So yeah, it was important because I guess this is important because it provides that safe space and people can join and be accepted for who they are.
I asked Stuart to come on this podcast, and Stuart said, "I've spoken enough. People don't want to hear my voice anymore."
Well, he's done a lot for the community, so that's great.
Yes, Stuart's terrific. And you're also part of the World Pride Games. Did you play in the World Pride Games?
Yeah, I did. That was bloody awesome. It was great, especially because obviously Sydney we had World Pride this year. There was lots of events going on, and there's lots of queer sports being played. So yeah, so I played in the Pride on Ice hockey tournament. So this kind of had people from Harbour Lights, Southern Lights. We even had some like international people who were here for World Pride. So yeah, the games themselves were a heap of fun. We had all these LGBTQI plus coloured jerseys from different parts of the queer community. Yeah, it was really special just to see this whole hockey tournament dedicated to our community.
Yeah, the jerseys are awesome. I think there was a bisexual one, or looked like a bisexual one
Yeah, there
with
was.
the
That was
bike.
great.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
wanted to get my hands on one.
yeah. We'll have to hit up Stuart. I'm sure he's got a spare.
um,
Yeah, okay.
did you happen to come cross paths with anyone that you've met in New York that come over here for World Pride?
Oh, not during the tournament. No. So I didn't actually meet anyone in particular, but I'm sure there's lots of people out there because lots of people came for it. So not that I know of.
Um, and and with Harbour Lights, can you tell us about being involved and sort of what you found when you first got the Harbour Lights, and then being involved for a little while? Like what was it like being
Mm.
involved within it for yourself, being involved in an inclusive club?
Yeah. So I guess well, there was lots of great things I think, but I think probably the best thing about being involved with this club is just kind of builds that sense of community. And this is very powerful because a lot of queer people, they may not be accepted by their families, so this community is kind of your chosen family. There's no judgment. In the words of Kesha, we are who we are, and this club really provides that space that you can just be who you are, which is awesome.
And I believe that they're slowly building to the Harbour Lights. I think they're actually in a league now. So
Yeah. So they've joined up to
yeah,
the league, so hopefully one day we're gonna have a whole league. That'll be great. But it's good that they're a part of another league at least, which is great.
yeah. I think it's good that the growth of the Harbour Lights. I think it sort of shows that what they're doing up there is right. So more people are getting involved and things like that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's great.
And you spoke about um, inline, and you've been involved in roller hockey as well. Um,
hmm
can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so when I guess I first started playing ice hockey and kind of got the taste for it, and then while I was in Sydney, I joined up with another league called the Queer Street Roller Hockey Chicks Club, which is on Instagram, and yeah, this is awesome. It was just a queer league for women, trans or non-binary people, that you'd socialize and play street hockey. So yeah, it was great actually. Like I really needed this club at the time when I joined. I'd only been in Sydney for a few years and I didn't have many queer friends. So it was a really good way that I could find sort of those like-minded people. Yeah. So through this club, I met lots of great people who've now become some of my best friends. So yeah, I can highly recommend this, even if you've never rollerbladed before, you're wearing lots of padded gear. There's lots of beginners, so it's a great way to get into hockey.
Is the roller hockey scene in Sydney quite big?
I don't know. Like this is especially specifically queer club, but I'm sure there are roller hockey clubs. But yeah, I kind of just started with ice hockey. Just had growing up, I played like inline hockey. So yeah, I like this because it's outdoors. It's like on basketball courts. This doesn't cost any money. It's free. So very like ground roots kind of vibe.
And just listening to you talk, I get the sense, and I get this from a few people, not only on this podcast, but who I talk to are involved in either Harbour Lights or Southern Lights or the Queer Roller Hockey League, that finding that community and finding those people is really important.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, I think as I said, you may not be accepted by your own family, or it's just great to turn up and know that you're with people similar to you, and there's no judgment. It doesn't matter what your gender or sexuality is. You can feel safe.
And you've moved to New York. Was that a bit of a daunting thing to do?
A little bit. Like I've lived in other countries. I've lived in Canada before and England, so it wasn't too scary. Like I like the adventure of it. And it's been good. I've come at like an amazing time. There was Pride was on last month, so it's been very busy with events. Gone to different Pride parades in New Jersey, Brooklyn, New York. What else? It's just yeah, it's very exciting still. Like I even got to walk in the Dyke March, which was really like incredible and liberating. I met Cynthia Nixon as well, so that was pretty cool. So yeah, I guess it's scary, but I think for me, it's kind of the reason why I went straight to finding hockey clubs is it's because it's a way to make friends, and you can be a little bit isolated once you move cities. So yeah, it's kind of a great way to meet new people, which is yeah, and you get to smash pucks against the wall, so that's even better.
What's the scene like over there in New York, in terms of hockey and inclusive hockey as well? I suppose. I'm guessing it's quite different to here. Probably a bit bigger.
Yeah, I think there's just like a queer group for everything, which is New York. It's like queer pickleball or queer. It's funny. I always look at what queer groups there are, but yeah, I think it's probably just a little bit more developed than Australia. So as I said, the NYCGHA has been running for 20 years, so I think we're just probably a little bit behind the US a little bit, but yeah, I think it's if you want to find a queer sport, you can find it, which has been good.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's awesome to
Yeah,
have that sort of I suppose access, or something that you can actually you can find quite easily.
yeah,
Because
yeah,
you don't get that a lot here.
yeah, yeah, definitely not.
Um,
Yeah.
Have you always played sport? Like growing up, was sport always something that you were comfortable playing and involved in?
Yeah, growing up, well, I've always played sport. When I was younger, sort of basketball was my main sport, but I also did tennis and roller hockey. But yeah, I was thinking, interestingly, I think one thing that wasn't really present when I was growing up was that queer representation that there's starting to be now. We've seen it with the women's AFL and soccer. People are more willing to be out and open. So yeah, this is definitely less evident in the male professional leagues. You look at the NHL and other sports like that. There's a lot of stigma about being queer, which is yeah, it's pretty concerning when you think 5 to 10% of the population is queer. So yeah, a lot of work to be done, I think, and I hope one day that population of queer people are better represented in these leagues. But yeah, it's great. This is why I love your podcast. You're promoting the importance of that queer inclusivity, educating people about queer and safe spaces, and yeah, hopefully getting people to start ice hockey. So I think that's awesome.
Yeah, I think the NHL, I think they're backwards in a lot of ways, and
Hmm.
sometimes it can be very, what's the word, upsetting, I suppose, that because they're the biggest league in the world, obviously, and they're sort of got to set the standard. But when
Hmm.
they're cancelling theme jersey nights and stuff, I don't think they realise what it means to queer people.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And I think there's a lot of space, like you look at the NHL, NBA, like there's just not one also queer person in the league. It's yeah, you'd hate to know kind of homophobia is like deep rooted in that. But I think we are changing as a society. I think you can see people are becoming more accepting and inclusive. So, hopefully in 20 years' time, it's more equalized in terms of, how people are queer and that representation in those professional sports.
Yeah, and I always think there would be someone in the NHL who is queer playing at the moment. There has to be. Like there can't be.
Hmm. Yeah,
So
statistically, yeah, it has to be.
yeah, there has
Yeah,
to be, and there's people involved, not even on the ice, just involved in administration and things like that,
yeah.
with clubs that are queer. So it's there. It sort of blows my mind where that leadership's not there,
Hmm.
from the NHL.
Yeah, yeah. It's not good.
Um, for yourself, what's the best thing about being involved in inclusive hockey clubs? So what's the best thing that you found at Harbour Lights to start with? So, and then what was the best thing that you found since you've gone to New York as well?
Yeah, I think for me, like the best thing that I've probably found, I think, as I said, I think it's really just about that sort of community feel, and I I don't know. I think I love seeing just people. It's in these inclusive clubs. It's not just queer people. You've got allies. Um, yeah, and I think it's really cool seeing the younger people as well who may not have felt safe playing other leagues. It's really cool to see that people who can play as their gender and sexuality and feel safe. So I think just sort of seeing that you know people can come to hockey and feel safe, I think is what I've really enjoyed. And then also, yeah, it's just a great way to make friends. So again, it's just really nice to be able to meet a whole bunch of people you have similar interests. And yeah, it's a great community to be part of.
Do you think that one day we could see, say, Harbour Lights heading over to New York and playing games against these leagues and these clubs?
Yeah, for sure. I reckon we'll have to definitely organise that. I think we can do a little international tour. That'd be great.
Um,
We'll have to.
being part of the Harbour Lights, and these inclusive clubs, have you noticed what it's done to a lot of other people who have come into those clubs, where you might have seen a change in people just from being that acceptance type of thing?
Yeah, I think from my experience with all the hockeys I've done, it's people who may be a bit quiet or shy, just they may not feel like this, in previous times if they're trans or they may not have previously felt like they belong in this group. I think it's really great that people can come on any spectrum on the gender spectrum and kind of come into their shell a little bit and just come out and be exactly who they are. So it's yeah, I think it's just like it's nice to see people just be who they are and not yeah, and just play sport, have a great time, and sort of people I think come out of their shell a little bit because they feel more confident. You feel more once you feel safe, I think you can really be who you are, which is awesome.
Yeah, I think that's the best thing, because I think when people think of these clubs like Harbour Lights, they think of them as specifically queer, and obviously that's a big part of it. But it's inclusive of everyone, and
Mhm.
like it's even for allies to find a comfortable place to even express who they are, which they might not normally do.
Mhm.
Do you find that a fair bit as well?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the gay league here, I think 20 or 30% of people are straight, and I think it's great, and I think yeah, well, I think it's just nice that they want to be a part of it, and they may learn something, just even about using pronouns. I think people may misgender people automatically. It's just kind of something that's programmed into you, as you'll say him or her. But even playing in these leagues, you may pick up things that you shouldn't. You should find out what their pronoun is before gendering them. So I think um yeah, I think for everyone, I think that's a really, yeah, you can learn a lot from the queers and everyone involved.
That's really cool, because I think that's what you've sort of raised there. I think that's a really important thing these days, pronouns and getting them right.
Hmm.
And it's such a big thing. I think people make a big deal about it, but it's just a simple little thing to make people feel more comfortable.
Hmm. Yeah, definitely. And I think it's doing a pronoun round. It takes a couple of seconds. There's no and yeah, and just to make someone sort of feel like they are the gender that they identify as. I think it's really important, and it's actually good to see this is happening more often. So I think that's it might start in these leagues, but you start to see it in other different sports as well, which is important.
I know one of my friends identifies as non-binary, and they were
Mm.
actually really proud of the Women's World Cup's going on here at the moment, and
Yeah, yeah,
and Quinn from the Canadian national team is
yeah.
is non-binary and transgender,
Hmm.
and they played in the World Cup. It'd be awesome to get to that level with hockey, where someone is that comfortable, especially like either on the men's scene.
Yeah, yeah. I think the women's kind of it's more common with people being open about their sexuality or gender in women's sport. So yeah, but yeah, the Women's World Cup's been great. I had to got up at 5 a.m. yesterday to watch the Matildas win, so that was great. And tonight I'm gonna go watch the US game. So I don't know if I'm supposed to go for the US yet. I still kind of feel that I should be going for Australia, but I'm sure it'll be a nice vibe to watch it.
I think maybe once you start getting a bit of an accent, maybe then you claim.
Yeah. No, I'll never lose this Aussie accent. It's hard to lose, I think. Yeah, stick with us everywhere.
Yeah, I'm actually flying up next week to Brisbane to watch Australia and Nigeria, so I'm pretty excited for that.
Amazing. Oh, that'd be incredible. Let's
Yeah,
let's hope Sam Kerr's calf gets better by then.
yeah, fingers crossed. Yeah,
Yeah.
hopefully.
Yeah,
Um,
it must be great to be in Australia for the World Cup. I feel like I'm just seeing on Instagram everyone's watching it, and it's yeah, it must be really nice to see Australia play at home. It'd be incredible.
it's in 75,000 people. You probably wouldn't think it's something you wouldn't think of happening like years ago, that you'd have that many people to
Hmm.
women's sport. But obviously, if
Hmm.
you give women's sport the opportunity to breathe, it's going to grow.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's been incredible, and it's yeah. I think that's something it's yeah. You've seen it with the women's AFL and soccer, but other sports. It's great to see the growth.
Um, what's the proudest moment you've had since putting on a pair of skates?
Ooh, good question. I think probably playing the World Pride event in Sydney was amazing. And again, I think it was what I really liked about it was I remember looking around the locker room and seeing, there was a lot of younger people part of this community, and just yeah, just who may not have joined another league. So it was just great to see lots of beginners, but just people who come and feel safe in this league. So I think yeah, that made me smile. So that was kind of like a proud moment, I think. And I think just proud of that community that's being created in ice hockey.
And it was actually quite a big event to put together as well. just from the
Mm.
outside, obviously wasn't there. From the outside looking in, it looked like it was a really good event and very well done. Did it feel like that for you? Did it feel like a really big celebration and a really good event?
Yeah, it was incredible. Like I think just having so many people there and every year I always volunteer at the Fair Day event. So the Harbour Lights has a stall which has all the different sports, all different queer sports, and I think just being sort of world pride this year, there was just so many. It just felt like there was a lot more people there. So you're playing in the stadium of hundreds of people, which is you're not really used to having so many people watch, and it's pretty low. It's not high level hockey, but you're just getting people who just come want to see the sport, see what it's about. And I think that was yeah, obviously it was a big event to organize, and I think it was yeah, it was nice just to see that people are interested in ice hockey, and hopefully people might watch it and think they can play too one day.
And you get to feel like a bit of a hockey star for a day or two.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, it was great.
For queer people looking to get into sport, because obviously a lot of queer people they find it very intimidating, the sporting space. As we've talked about, they in the locker room and just the language around sporting clubs. I still hear it now with certain sporting clubs that
Mhm.
I'm involved in and things like that. Why would you recommend hockey for queer people or to get involved in?
Yeah, well, we know ice hockey it can be that safe space for people, especially at that community level where you're starting out. But yeah, I mean, it's great. It's a really good way to exercise, and I guess yeah, as you're making friends, which is great, and there's something liberating about just smashing pucks around the ice and smashing into people in a non-contact way. But it's yeah, this is it's a fun sport to play.
And before I let you go, is there anything that you'd like to plug for yourself or any leagues or anything you're involved in, where they could find yourself or the leagues and clubs?
Yeah, well, besides obviously recommending the Harbour Lights and the Street Roller Hockey Chicks Club, Hard Pass and the NYCGHA, I would also like to recommend a group. I actually started with a good friend of mine, Mel, and this is called the Queer Dog Walking Club on Instagram. So it probably should be called the Sitting Club because we don't do much walking. But yeah, it's a dog group that meets in Sydney Park in Sydney on Saturday mornings. So if you like dogs or you just or you don't have a dog, just come along anyway, and you can meet a whole bunch of other queer people with some dogs.
Um, have they got Instagram or anything like that?
Yeah, we've got a little Instagram. So again, it's just another space for people to come around. So I can send you the details.
Yeah, cool. Well, Merridy, I hope you enjoy your New York summer and the nice warm weather that you got over there at the moment. I'm sure it'll change soon, and you'll have all that snow belting down.
I know. But apparently, it doesn't snow in New York as much anymore. So it would just be cold and windy, but that's all right. I'm mentally prepared. Sometimes it's nice to wear some winter clothes.
Well, you should have a bit of outdoor hockey time, wouldn't you?
Oh yeah. Actually, there's a rink down in Brooklyn. It's an outdoor ice hockey rink, and I've actually they do a winter league, and I've never played ice hockey outside. So yeah, I think that'll be pretty cool to be actually playing ice hockey outside in winter.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, it'd be a good experience. Something obviously you sort of can't get here.
Yeah, definitely not.
Well, thanks for coming on the podcast. I really appreciate all the guests that I have on, and I just sort of reach out to people. And some people think that they might not have anything to talk about, but before you know it, there's like half an hour going past, and we're just having a general chat about hockey and why everyone loves it and why these inclusive clubs are important to them. So yeah, thanks for coming on, and yeah, good luck with everything in New York, and hopefully we can catch up at some stage in the future.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me.